thought my wife was dead for 2 whole years. And then last Tuesday night she knocked on my door, holding a child that wasn't mine. And what she said next made me wish I had never opened that door. My name is Daniel. I'm 34, and 2 years ago my wife Rachel vanished. One night she kissed me, told me she had a work trip to Denver, and drove away in her silver Honda. 3 days later, they found her car near a cliff, her purse inside, her phone smashed on the rocks below. No body, no blood, just silence. The detective looked me in the eye. He said, "Mr. Harper, I'm so sorry. She's gone. I collapsed on that cold tile floor. I didn't eat for 9 days. My mother had to spoon feed me like I was a child again. I rebuilt my life, slowly, painfully. New apartment, new job, new routine." But every Sunday, rain or shine, I drove to the cemetery. I placed white lilies on her empty headstone, and I told her I'd never love anyone else. Then came that Tuesday night, the night that shattered everything I thought I knew. I had just poured a glass of whiskey. I was about to sit down and watch the game, and that's when I heard it. 3 soft knocks. I thought it was the pizza guy. I thought it was a neighbor. I opened the door, and my glass shattered on the floor, because standing there under the yellow porch light was my dead wife. Her hair was shorter, she looked thinner, and on her hip she was holding a little boy, maybe a year and a half old. Brown curls, my eyes, my exact, unmistakable eyes. And Rachel was smiling, like she hadn't just walked back from the grave, like she was dropping by for coffee. "Hi, Danny," she said. "Can I come in?" I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. My knees started shaking, and all I could say was one broken word. "How?" She walked past me, into my apartment, like she still owned the place. She sat the little boy down on my couch. And then she turned to me, and she said the words that would break me all over again. "Danny, I faked it. I never died. And this is your son." I want you to stop for a second. Let that sink in. For 2 years, I had mourned this woman. For 2 years, I had been faithful to a ghost. And now she was standing in my living room, telling me I had a son I never knew existed. I sat down on the floor. My body just gave up. And I asked her to explain, and what she told me next made me hate her in a way I didn't know I was capable of. She'd been having an affair for 6 months before she disappeared. A man named Marcus, the manager at her gym. But Marcus was married too, so they planned to run away together, and Rachel didn't want me chasing her. She didn't want me fighting for her. So she chose the easier path. She faked her death. The car, the cliff, the smashed phone. All of it. Staged. She took a bus to Phoenix, changed her name, dyed her hair, and started a new life with him. But here's the part that broke something inside me forever. When she left, she was already pregnant, with my son, and she never told me. She let me mourn her, while she raised my child with another man. I looked at that little boy playing on my couch, and something shifted in my chest. He looked up at me with those big, curious eyes. My eyes, and he smiled. A shy, tiny smile, and I felt a love so sudden and so violent it knocked the air out of me. I had never held him. I had never heard his first word. I had never been there when he took his first step. 2 years, stolen from me, by the woman I had buried in my heart. "What's his name?" I whispered. "Noah," she said softly. "I named him Noah." Noah. My son's name was Noah, and I didn't even know. Then I asked her the only question that mattered. "Rachel, why are you here now? After 2 years, why now?" And that's when her face cracked. The confidence disappeared. The tears came. Marcus had left her 3 months ago. Turns out he'd been cheating on her the entire time. He'd never actually divorced his wife. He'd been living a double life. And when Rachel confronted him, he emptied their savings account, took her car, and vanished. left her with a toddler she couldn't feed and rent she couldn't pay. So she came crawling back. To me, the husband she betrayed, the man she let grieve her, because she had nowhere else to go. "Danny, please," she whispered. "I know what I did. But he's your son. He needs a father. And I still love you." I never stopped. And I want to be honest with you, because if I'm not, none of this means anything. Part of me still loved her, and I hated myself for it. 12 years. She was my high school sweetheart, my first kiss, the girl I had promised forever to, and here she was, crying on my couch, with my son in her arms, and a piece of me, a weak, foolish piece of me, wanted to say yes, wanted to pretend the last 2 years never happened. But then I looked at Noah again, and I knew that little boy deserved better than a mother who lied this big. He deserved a father who was strong enough to do the hard thing. So I made a choice. In that exact moment, I would not scream. I would not fight. I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I smiled. And I said, "We'll talk tomorrow." She cried. She hugged me. She thanked me. I made up the guest room. And I held my son for the very first time. He fell asleep on my chest, his little hand curled around my finger. And I felt tears roll down my face. Not sad tears, not angry tears, something deeper, something quieter, a father's tears. For the child he almost never got to meet. But after she went to sleep, I went to work. At 3 a.m, I opened her purse. I photographed her new ID, Rebecca Miller, her new Social Security card, her bank statements, her phone records. I emailed everything to myself. And I put it all back exactly where I found it. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was looking for justice. There's a difference. Revenge is hot. Justice is cold. And I was going to make sure the law handled her the way she deserved. The next morning, I made her pancakes. I played with Noah on the living room floor. And I kissed Rachel on the forehead. I told her I needed to step out for a couple hours. Just some errands. I'd be right back. I didn't go to work. I went to my lawyer's office. His name was Richard. 10 years he'd been my attorney. I laid out the photos. I told him the whole story, and Richard leaned back in his chair. He let out a long breath, and he said, "Daniel, this is serious, but I have to warn you. Cases like this, they're messy. Insurance companies fight hard. Prosecutors move slow. She could lawyer up. She could flee again. There are no guarantees here." My stomach dropped. For a moment, I thought the whole thing might fall apart before it even started. I thought maybe she'd slip through the cracks again, disappear like last time, and take my son with her. But Richard looked at me, and he said, "Here's what we're going to do. But you have to play your part perfectly. One slip, one angry word, and she runs. Can you do that?" I nodded, because for Noah, I could do anything. Here's what most people don't know. When Rachel died 2 years ago, I had received $300,000 from her life insurance. I never touched a cent of it. It felt like blood money. It had been sitting in a separate account, untouched, for 2 years. Now that she was alive, every penny of that was fraud, and the person who filed the fake death was about to answer for it. But the insurance fraud was just the beginning. There was identity theft, a false police report. And because she had taken my unborn child across state lines without my knowledge, parental kidnapping charges too. Richard told me to go home, act normal, be loving, buy him time. So I did, for 3 days, the longest 3 days of my life. I took Rachel to dinner. I told her I forgave her. I told her we could be a family again. I watched her eyes light up with relief. She told me she was the luckiest woman in the world. She told me she would spend the rest of her life making it up to me. And every night, after she fell asleep, I sat on the floor of the guest room, watching Noah sleep, memorizing his tiny face, his soft breathing, the way his fingers curled into fists when he dreamed. Because a part of me still wasn't sure this would work. A part of me was terrified she'd figure it out, grab him, and run. On the fourth morning, Richard called. One word: ready. I packed a small bag for Noah. Diapers. His favorite stuffed bear. A bottle. I strapped him into the car seat in my truck, and I drove him to my mother's house. She was waiting. She had a crib ready, toys, clothes. She took him into her arms and cried for 10 minutes straight. Her grandson, the one she never knew she had. I kissed Noah on the forehead. I whispered, "Daddy's gonna fix this. I promise." And I drove home. Rachel was making coffee in my kitchen, wearing one of my t-shirts, humming a song, smiling, and for one strange, heartbreaking second, I looked at her and remembered the girl I fell in love with at 17. Then the doorbell rang. She looked up, confused. I walked past her, calm, slow, and I opened the door. 2 officers stood there, along with a federal agent, and Richard, my lawyer, right behind them. Rachel's coffee mug slipped out of her hand, shattered on the kitchen tile. The same sound as my whiskey glass, 3 nights before. The agent stepped inside. He held up a folded document, and he said, "Rebecca Miller, also known as Rachel Harper, you are under arrest for insurance fraud, identity theft, filing a false police report, and parental abduction. You have the right to remain silent." Her face went white. She dropped to her knees on my kitchen floor. She looked up at me, eyes full of tears, and she whispered, "Danny, what did you do?" I knelt down in front of her, close enough to see the flecks of gold in her eyes, the eyes I had once promised to love forever. And I said the only words I had left. "Rachel, I buried you 2 years ago, and while I was crying at your grave, you were in Phoenix, raising my son with another man. You didn't just leave me. You stole 2 years of my child's life. So no, this isn't revenge. This is the law." Doing what you forced it to do, she screamed my name as they walked her out in handcuffs. Past the neighbors standing on their porches, past 2 news vans that Richard had quietly tipped off. Her face was on the evening news. The woman who faked her death. The woman who came back begging. The trial took 9 months. 9 long months. Her lawyer tried every angle. Postpartum depression. Emotional coercion by Marcus. Diminished capacity. Some of it almost worked. I sat in that courtroom every single day, and more than once I thought we were going to lose. But the evidence was too strong. The photos, the bank records, the phone data. She had signed her new name dozens of times. She had collected food stamps under a fake identity. She had crossed state lines with my child. The judge sentenced her to 11 years in federal prison, and when he read the sentence, he looked at her over his glasses and said, "Mrs. Harper, I've been on this bench for 22 years. I have rarely seen a betrayal this calculated. You will have a very long time to consider what you did." I was granted full custody of Noah. A DNA test confirmed what I already knew. He was mine, 100%. Noah is 3 now. He calls me Daddy. He has my laugh, my stubborn chin. My mother spoils him rotten. We have a house with a yard, a golden retriever named Biscuit. And every night, after I tuck him in, I sit in the hallway outside his door for a few minutes, just listening to him breathe, because I almost didn't get to be his father. And I will never, ever take that for granted. As for Rachel, she writes me letters from prison every single month. I don't open them. I put them straight into a box in the garage. One day, when Noah is old enough, he can decide for himself whether he wants to read them. That's not my choice to make. That's his. Some people lose you. and don't realize what they had until it's too late. She lost me the day she faked her own death. She just didn't know it yet. If you felt this story in your chest, if your heart raced when that doorbell rang, if you held your breath when I knelt in front of her on that kitchen floor, then you already understand something most people never will. Some wounds don't heal. They just become part of you. And the only way forward is to protect what's left. Tell me in the comments, if she had shown up at your door holding your child, would you have done what I did? Or would you have let her back in? I read every single comment. And if you want to know the story of how my best friend stole my fiancée 3 weeks before our wedding, and how she walked down the aisle not knowing what was waiting for her at the altar, the video is right there on your screen. Click it. You're not ready. Thank you for listening. And remember, some doors should stay closed.